You're watching RTV News with me, Jane Mutoni. The headlines. People in Kigali city and surrounding areas complain about poor cell phone connections. On Saturday, members of the Social Democratic Party met for their political bureau meeting. Everyone, welcome to the news in details. Now, people in Kigali city and surrounding areas have continued to complain about poor cell phone connections, saying the persistent issue should be resolved because it has been disrupting business activities and causing other problems as well. Take a look.
As time passes, more and more services and economic activities rely on technology to survive, as well as many social aspects of life in urban areas especially. So any disruption, however minor, does not go unnoticed. There is a problem with the network. Sometimes you are in the house and it is very poor, only for you to go outside and it significantly improves. That is really troublesome, especially when someone calls you and you suddenly get disconnected. Yet everything was fine prior to the call. There should be advocacy for this. That is what should be done. MTN has a lot of connectivity problems, and this problem of the network does not exist only here. Go up to Gitabi and you will find the same thing. Monchigari has the same network problems. They should do advocacy. And if it is a problem of the transmission towers, the concerned institutions are in the best situation to get to the bottom of it. This problem is in different parts of Kigali, in places like Nyamirambo, Gisozi, Kanombe and elsewhere. But go to Kamonyi district and you will find the exact issue in some of its sectors. For example, where I live, you cannot make a call. Yet 3 years ago, that was not the case. For the past 2 years, the network has been terrible. At first, we thought it might be a problem with our phones, but it soon became obvious that that was not the case because even the newer phones could not maintain a video conference call, and the internet was generally atrocious. Now, with some people working from home, it has only exacerbated the problem. As the media charged with making the problems we, the people, face known, you should do advocacy for us on this matter and tell the management of MTN and Airtel to address this. I don't know if their systems are being overloaded because more people have been moving here, or their transmission infrastructure needs to be upgraded. Whatever it is, they should find out what is causing it and fix it. Officials at the Rwanda Utilities Regulatory Authority say the matter is already being addressed. A lot has been done to rectify the situation. If you remember, there was an enforcement notice issued to MTN requesting that the problems be rectified, giving them until the end of October last year to do it in Kigali and November in the provinces. Our assessment of Kigali, our report and their own, shows that an effort has been made to address the issue. You are aware that it had got to the point that their network was just dropping calls every time a person tried to make a call. And now there is a significant improvement. It is the result of our efforts to monitor their operations, and the remaining issues must be addressed by the end of March. That is what we agreed with them. Rura is also boosting the country's infrastructure to be able to meet the technological demands of the general public as they increase. After we complete the 45 transmission towers that were in the pipeline and are almost done, we will carry out another assessment at the district level, but also draw information from the sectors. I believe that almost all sectors currently have network coverage, but it is not uniform everywhere within them. You will not always find that all settlements have good coverage despite a tower being erected in the area, or even an entire cell, all because of the topography of the given area. This coming assessment will help us determine how to move forward. If those new transmission towers need to be boosted further using what we call more sectors, or if different areas simply need more towers. There are currently 1,300 transmission towers in Rwanda supporting radio, television, cell phone and internet connectivity in the entire country. 45 more will soon be operational.
On Saturday, members of the Social Democratic Party met for their political bureau meeting. Among the issues discussed is the upcoming National Congress of the party towards the end of February that will see 500 members gather.
Kongere rero yagombaga guterana mu mwaka wa 2020 ariko nibwo haje n'icyorezo cya COVID.
The Congress was supposed to have gathered back in 2020, but that is when the COVID-19 pandemic broke out. At that time, the leadership of the party at national level was supposed to be chosen and the party's rules amended. We were supposed to also look at how far we had gone with implementing our policies. Those are the sort of things the National Congress is supposed to do. Like all other gatherings, therefore, here in Rwanda and elsewhere around the world, it kept getting postponed because of the pandemic. Now we believe it will be possible to hold it, which is why we are reviewing the issues it will address, the most important being the election of PSD's leaders at national level.
The party's president says PSD is keen to ensure that the country continues to make progress in many respects now more than ever.
Abayoboke bacu icyo tubasaba gikomeye buri gihe atari n'ibirebana na COVID-19 gusa ni ukubahiriza gahunda za leta.
The most important request we make of our members at all times, not just now during this COVID-19 pandemic, is that they respect the government's programs, participate in them, and urge all other local residents in different areas to do the same. During these difficult times, we always ask our party representatives if they have been vaccinated, and if all the people they represent have been vaccinated. We remind them to call on all local residents in their areas, not just PSD members, to support government efforts to fight COVID-19. We urge them to call on all their neighbors to get vaccinated and respect all hygiene and other measures, like wearing a face mask that the Ministry of Health requires of us.
Younger generations are concerned with having no young people that speak Kinyarwanda or use it regularly, yet those with extensive knowledge of the language are aging. Now they say that if nothing changes, it will affect community relations and good governance. Shislem Mugwaneza reports.
Rwandan youth know that people who speak good Kinyarwanda still exist, and they are mostly needed in things like weddings and other ceremonies.
It is still hard. Even getting an old man to stand in your traditional wedding ceremony is hard when you don't have money. It can cost 50,000 Rwandan francs. It's not worthy. Maybe you could get a neighboring old man or a nearest sibling or your uncle. But such people who know Kinyarwanda very well are few. Old people to help us are there, but it will be hard in years to come because our Rwandan culture is slowly fading. We are adopting Western cultures.
These youth are concerned with having youth that neglect Kinyarwanda language, regardless of the value of language in the country.
For example, there is a place I went for a COVID-19 test. I found my fellow Rwandan there and he started asking me in English. Yet I can see he is a Rwandan. I asked myself, what is the reason?
An intellectual culture trainer and historian Clotilde Omubyeyi has said that colonial rules destroyed many Rwandan values which still affect the local residents. There are poems that people would make when gathering. It was not for everyone to tell poems. It was only for the wise people. That was a good conversation that you could send to a place, either a country's message, ceremonies among Rwandans like traditional wedding and in defending. It was also for wise people, as well as uniting. There was uniting without hurting one another. Nobody speaks like before. There are many reasons. There is a mixture of languages. Another reason is that people went abroad and others were born from there. I don't think that it is because they do not value language willingly, but they speak what is easy for them. I can give an example of master of ceremony. Sometimes he gives hard times to old in-laws in weddings, while saying what should be spoken by bridegroom and those in-laws, which mislead them in saying what they planned. However, she says that there are those who are still holding on the Rwandan oral literature, which gives hope of the continued preservation of Kinyarwanda language. Kinyarwanda is the only traditional language used by Rwandans and other people living in neighboring countries. Ghislaine Mugwaneza, RTV News.
Thank you, Ghislaine, for that report. Now, Kigali City, there are people that are still neglecting measures to fight COVID-19. Residents have noted that COVID-19 still exists and everyone should comply with the measures in place to fight the spread of the virus.
On 26 January 2022, the Cabinet meeting reviewed existing health measures to contain spread of COVID-19, including prohibiting movements between 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. and all businesses must close by 11 p.m. Though the measures were reviewed, COVID-19 still exists. There are residents in Kigali City that do not comply with these measures to fight the spread of COVID-19. There are others that have said that there should be no negligence in fighting the pandemic. They should not feel at ease because COVID-19 still exists. We listen to information that there are new infections every day, and we also get afraid and say we should follow the measures to fight COVID-19.
They should keep on protecting themselves because the pandemic still exists, and for them to have a good life, they should protect themselves from getting infected or infect others.
What
we are currently focused on the most is getting vaccinated. All people should have all the 3 doses of vaccines because that is where the government is putting more effort to see if we can fight the pandemic, and COVID-19 is still here.
The Minister of Local Government, Jean-Marie Vianney Gatabazi, has stressed that reviewing measures does not mean non-compliance.
Saying that things have been eased does not mean that protection has stopped. Measures are reviewed to enable you to do your job. But people should keep on protecting themselves because most of the times people become complacent when measures are eased. But the opposite should be the case. For example, if we say 75% of capacity during certain activities, people will be more closer to each other, which is why they should keenly observe measures to be able to protect themselves appropriately.
According to the Ministry of Health, on 28 January 2022, 79 new COVID-19 cases were recorded. All Rwandan residents are required to get fully vaccinated to keep fighting the pandemic.
In Rwanda District, the Rwanda Revenue Authority has launched a training course for 60 customs clearance agents at the border. It is a course that will promote professionalism in accelerating cross-border trade. It is a 6-month course that will be attended by regular custom clearance agents at the border and cross-border traders. Those that have begun these trainings say that it was very much needed as it will solve many of the challenges that they face in cross-border trade. I've started the trainings, and the reason why I joined them is because usually it's good to work in any field professionally while knowing exactly what you're doing so that you can be able to provide quality services. We are expecting a significant outcome from these trainings as we believe that we are being trained by the best. We are ready to learn a lot, especially the laws and regulations in this field. Customs clearance training is aimed at promoting professionalism in this field, as in the future, no one will be allowed to be in this job without a certificate that proves they learned this course.
It had actually taken long for this measure to be put in place, because when a person is performing a job that he or she has no training for, it not only affects their performance but also affects the performance of other stakeholders. So that is the objective, whereby in years to come, no one will be allowed to work in this field with no trainings. We also urge those that are already in this field to join these trainings.
Yvonne Gatera, in the RRA Deputy Commissioner in charge of Customs Operations, has pointed out that this course will help in promoting professionalism and smooth running of services at various borders in Rwanda. These trainings are essential, as this will help those that work in this field to gain more skills, hence providing quality services. This will solve some of the challenges we've been facing, such as delays in the clearance process, as some did not understand well the procedures or steps, hence costing money. Another challenge that will be solved on the client side is the time spent at the customs, hence costing them money, and this time will be reduced. These courses are usually taught in the East African Community member states that Rwanda is part of. The aim is for those that work in this field to acquire skills in providing professional customs clearance services. In Rwanda, about 1,000 workers have been trained so far. After the current training, there will be 1,200 in total. Well, there you have it. On behalf of the entire news production team, thank you for your company. I'm Jane Mutoni. Have a great weekend.